We're live, so we're hooked up. So this week it's a very early time, calling in from Tallinn, Estonia, here for NFT Tallinn week. So it is 8 a.m. here. Traveling with world-renowned DJ Dirty Harry. Summarizing, basically there's a lot of shilling out there, people buying things, not telling you what they own and then talking about it. Easiest way for me to get around that was just not buy things. And for years, I've never bought NFTs. Exceptions include some test transactions and trades, and like when I would hack something, I would mint some of those so that I could see what was wrong with it, just to study. This is important to me also because I want to go through some of these minting processes. It's kind of weird that I've been designing minting processes and never going through the excitement of buying these things myself. So if you've got a hot drop, if you've got some experience you want me to check out, let me know. I'll be minting, I'll be buying, and I want to study, not just these NFTs, not just the business structures, but actually the experience of setting these things up. Because again, I'm on the other side of these. I've sold plenty of NFTs. I've just bought my first one. What's up, Tushar? Okay, so how do we generate NFTs? I have a whole presentation on this. I have actually a couple presentations. So let me hook you up, Tushar. I got you. So Tushar, here's what's up. So 721 is here. This is ERC 721. It's also called EIP 721. And they've renamed this file. And I didn't know about that. Okay, so EIP 721 is also known as ERC 721. I don't know why they renamed my file here, our file here. So it's also called ERC 721. They're the same thing. So this is kind of like a Venn diagram. All ERCs are EIPs, but not all EIPs are ERCs. So EIPs, ERCs, just a smaller part of EIPs. What is EIP? EIP is Ethereum Improvement Proposal, and these are related to all kinds of stuff for Ethereum to make it better. A very important part of that is ERC, which are application specifications, and one of the best ones is ERC 721, non-fungible tokens. And this document explains it, what it is, how to use it. It's you should read it top to bottom, even if you're not a programmer. This is an important document, and it was meant to be read by not just nerds, but people that are interested. It goes into stuff like why the words are chosen. There's fun facts in here. An old version of this document says that I'll come to your house to have dinner with you if you buy a house with an NFT. That may or may not still apply. There's good stuff in here. It tells you some of the discussions that you can read through, some places we've met, slides you can go find. So this is all, it's nice casual reading. So a fun extension is called ERC 721A. And so this is a more specific implementation that has a nice little feature that people want. It's a little cheaper to mint. So that's a cool thing. And people will use this. If you're going to make something like this, you absolutely have to read the specification. Every word. You can't miss any of the words. What's the second way to do it? The second way is what I linked you over here. So you want to click on the slide. Yes. If you make your own smart contract, those are your NFTs. Here we go. Slides. How to pick a platform. Make your own NFTs. There you go. So this is another presentation from Miami. How to choose a platform to launch my own NFT. Handouts. Cool. All right, so here's the presentation. You can read this slide by slide. And what this walks you through is basically it went through every different platform I could find that people recommended. And then I used every single one of them to compare what it's like making an NFT. This is a really cool experiment. There's like hundreds of slides in this deck. So if you're trying to get a nice overview without spending any money or time or whatever, you can just grab a beer or whatever and scroll through this and see what you're going to be in for. So this one's Rarible, and then summarizes. What would you want to choose, this or not? Do you want? Oh, you can add comments. Okay. Good stuff, bad stuff, and some of this has changed. This is from November, so they could have got a little better since then. And the second one, mint base, mintable, and so it goes through them, and then you can decide which one of these experiences you want to go through to mint your NFT. So some basic advice: if you want to do a lot of NFTs, you got to decide how do you want to choose which one of these platforms you want to use. For me, I actually minted one on each different platform. So I minted one on Zora, that one sold. Minted one on Mintbase, Rarible, OpenSea, Foundation, Mintable. So all of them. I just used any one I could find and then minted them. And that's actually the whole reason I did that was to make these slides, right? So I made the slides, and then you can follow along, and you can decide if you want to be part of any one of these platforms. I recommend using a platform if this is your first time and you don't want to do something super large. So if you've got some artwork and you just want to drop it, ours got closed on good, and you just want to drop your NFT, use one of these platforms and you'll be good to go within a day. And yeah. Also, if you want to skip to the bottom, I put all the slides together here and just compared them back to back, feature matrix. So one of the things I didn't like with some of them is they didn't let you schedule a drop. So if you're going to make an NFT and you wanted to drop at like 12 o'clock on a Tuesday or something, you couldn't do that with a lot of them. And that kind of sucked. Some of them you could, like Rarible was good with that. Some of them had some problems with auctions I didn't really like Foundation. I didn't like the way the auctions worked there. You can only do 24 hours. You can't do like a month-long auction. If you're not very well known, you've got to get all of your people to bid in the same 24 hours. It could be rough. Yeah, so do you have a screenshot? So you got a tweet from a founder of the Azuki collection. Account was hacked, sent a spam website. So do you have a screenshot of the tweet too? Awesome. The reason I just wanted it now is just because I want to clone that website real fast before it goes down. Yeah. Yeah. Repeating what you said for the people that didn't hear it. Azuki fake airdrop. So somebody took over the Azuki developer account, made a fake tweet boosting a scam website. And then that website resulted in a transaction pop up of MetaMask, which looked, for many, many reasons, authentic. That you can't tell the difference between you're minting something and you are giving something away. And you can't tell the difference between you're logging into a website and you are authorizing all your NFTs to be taken. There's no way for you to tell the difference. You got to be more than ninja. It is exactly. It's scary. This is happening all the time. So, I mean, I really got to. I got two ways I can do this. I can either. This is a well-known problem. Well-known after the fact. After people get scammed, they know about it. People are learning one by one about this, and so there's a few ways I can fix the problem. One, I can just collect these stories and then complain to Finzer and keep yelling at a stone wall that they should hire me to solve this. B, I could, and this is what their engineers are asking, I could just do all the work for them for free and tell them how to fix the problem with a blog post or whatever. Or C, I could just work with a competitor to MetaMask and just solve the problem with them, with a loving, caring company that will not only fix this problem, but won't make, that will continue to invest in the community for the future. There's two problems. One of them is with transactions. It's very unclear when you do a transaction whether you're sending something or receiving something. And this is ridiculous. So the box you get when you're sending something looks very similar to the box you get when you receive something. So that's what's happening to you. So it looks like you're like receiving a mint, but actually you're sending a token. So let's see exactly what happened in this transaction. Here's the transaction you sent. Okay, let's review. This is from you. Did you rechange? So the sender of this transaction is you. Okay, so that means that this thing that happened here was not a result of you signing a message and then them performing a transaction. That's a little fancier, and we haven't seen a lot of that yet, but we'll get to messages in a second. Okay, so this is a transaction that you performed, at their recommendation, which f***ed yourself. And there's just one of them, and also we can click on this to see, is this your last transaction? So this is 273 block, and this is block, that's not your latest. Okay, so you took some assets out. Okay, this is a while ago. 273. Okay, good response time here. So within 8 minutes, you took everything out, which is great. Now, when you lose, if anybody loses their seed phrase, then what happens is on MetaMask, you start seeing transactions you didn't do. So someone else will be using your seed phrase to however they're going to f*** you. This is exactly the same as would happen if you used your own seed phrase on a new device. And then your computer would be like, oh, you are, yeah. How much damage can you do with one Ethereum transaction? The most damaging transaction you can do on ERC 721, of course, is, that's one of them. And then the other one is set approval for all. Yeah. So if this is a spear phishing, if they're trying to get a specific thing from you, then they would use set approval, they would use transfer from. Now that's kind of a rookie move, because if you had multiple, your response time here is 8 minutes and they might have been sleeping. So they might prefer to get more stuff from you. The way they would do that is they would use set approval for all. When that goes through, then they would make their own transaction with a robot to get as many NFTs as they can out of that collection. It's only one collection. It's not crazy to hack a Twitter account and do something and make 3 different websites to only steal about 10 Ether worth of stuff. That's somebody's salary for a year. The most efficient way to hack people would be to make a website that just loads the OpenSea API, sees what NFTs you have, and then tries to steal whatever you have. The thing that gets more fancy is that when you have authorized your stuff to somebody else, then that becomes surface area for something that can be attacked. Like, for example, if you make a smart contract, or for example, OpenSea smart contract, that could be an avenue where one signed transaction could do more damage than one NFT. Now, how does that work? Here's what you do. You would set up a server to handcraft a transaction to take whichever tokens you want. ERC20 tokens, 721s, whatever. And let's say you've got this like 0.1 WETH. And let's say you've got this other ERC20. So what they would do is they would make a transaction, they would make an offer on the marketplace for OpenSea. And the offer would be, you are going to give 0.1 ETH. And then you are going to give XYZ ERC20 token. And you are going to give, they're going to clean you out, right? So they're going to, all these like 10 different things you're going to give. So that's the next question, is how much damage can you do with a message? We're not there yet. So what they would do is they would make an offer. So their offer would be, I'm going to mint some bullshit NFT, like just one of a trillion, right? So they would make an NFT, like I got hacked. And then, so they make you an I got hacked NFT, and then the price would be 0.1 WETH plus XYZ NFT ERC20 plus, and they can just make all these custom. They sign this, so they're the signer, and then they send you the signed offer. Then with the one transaction, you accept the offer. So this will only work if you have authorized your WETH into the smart contract, and you've authorized when I say smart contract, I mean the old OpenSea contract or the new one or whatever. So they have been, all of your assets have already been cleaned out because you've put them to OpenSea. And so then you're going to receive, and the receive is the one that counts in the maker taker scenario. So does that make sense? So then they're gonna put all these offers into this bucket. You're gonna sign this one bucket, and it's all gonna go at once. Well, when we say targeted, this could be one web call to an API server, and they don't have to pay for these transactions because it's just signed. It's zero gas, and it doesn't have to touch any APIs. So if they know who you are and they can pre-calculate this list, they can pre-calculate this attack for all addresses on the internet. So they just look up every address and they're like, okay, well, if this address showed up, what would I show to them? And then they know which tokens are authorized to OpenSea API, to smart contract. They know what's authorized where. So they revoke.cash. I'm not promoting that website, but they offer a way to know where your tokens have been authorized so that you can deauthorize them. And so they would just look where everything is authorized and then make a handcrafted, attack for each person on the internet. And then when you load the website, it would send it to the attack server, get the signed message, return it, and then play that to you. So the answer is, what is the most damage you could do with one transaction? If I approve, can people train multiple things from my wallet? Maybe. It depends on how many things you've authorized and where. So anything you've ever authorized in the past is a target. But then the answer is, the best answer here is, what is the most damage anybody can do? And the answer is, this can be calculated on a per person basis and stored on a server, ready to execute, so that your first, and they can be ranked. So, doing everything I just described, that sounds cool, and it's fun for me because I design this type of shit, like these systems to avoid this or whatever. Somebody who's creating this scenario, they're like, what, it's probably easier if we just send them 17 transactions and let them click all 17. Your question wasn't, how are people going to attack me? Your question was, what is the worst thing they could do? That is the worst thing they could do. This directly is part of my vision here. My vision is that we're going to have a place that's safe, that people are going to want to use, not get scammed every day. And that means something better than MetaMask. Now we got the next question, is what's the most damage you can do with one message? So if you've signed a message, it's possible that people are going to take your stuff, but they're going to play the transaction. So this is a little fancier than what happened here. Throw them a bunch of transfer from transactions, let them send the transactions to the wherever they're going, right? That's easier. A very slightly more complicated website, which absolutely exists, is where you sign messages and then you send the message to their server and then they perform the transaction. Sort of like a blank check. And then once you've given that message to that server, all they need to do is execute that by paying 0.00001 ETH and then taking all your NFTs or whatever assets. So two ways. One is if you use Etherscan, I highly recommend you create an account here. So you go on Etherscan, you create an account, and then you put in all of your addresses that you care about. And you should also put in addresses that are not yours for plausible deniability, if that's something that matters to you. And then you put a bunch of addresses in there and you turn on email alerts. So whenever there's any tokens that come in or out or whatever, you would get emailed. So that also means if you create an offer on OpenSea and someone else buys it, you'll get an email you'll get an email from OpenSea and be like, somebody took one of your tokens. And you'll be like, well, that's cool because that means my sale went through. We can find out what happened in the past. Here's how you do that. Click this button here, and it says ERC 20 token transactions. So let me look at the time schedule here.
We should still find these at breakfast.
Exactly.
In the morning.
Doesn't this weigh like 100 pounds?
It's so heavy.
Europeans. So this transaction happened when? April 3rd, 10/26. Okay, so then we click on here. There's actually no ERC20 transactions in a while. Okay, so since the attack, there's been no ERC20 transactions. Good. ERC 721. Okay, here's a bunch. Okay, so since obviously 9 hours ago, you want to verify these real quick. So anything that's on this list is an NFT that you came out of your account. So the way that I could do this without being you, without knowing what you did, I would just click on each one of these transactions. So I would click here. Bam, 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 bam. What's up?
You on Zoom?
Yeah. Yeah. Camera's on. Put your clothes on.
Turn the light up.
Yeah. That's later. So then I could just very quickly go through these transactions, and then I'm going to see who posted them. So from address. So I'm looking down here, and I'm going to go through 1, 2, from, 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 good, 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 bad, joking, good, good, good. They're all good. So none of these transactions that took away an NFT was a result of, was submitted from a different party. So all the removal of NFTs has been initiated by you. Good. So the way you could do this, you could just look at these NFTs and, these are your babies, so you would recognize them. And then for me, who doesn't know that, I would just look at these from addresses. And then the last thing I did here was just to look at your, this is not complete, but this is a nice quick check. It just shows you what it thinks the NFTs you own are. So it says there's some bit universe. I don't know, these might, ENS, that is an important one. So there's an ENS here. There's a Sora. So just check what I'm looking at here. Here's all the ones that are left. And, some of these are bullshit spam tokens, but, so I just know that one might be important. Yeah. Yep. And there you go. So that is the incident response on what you went through.